Hello and welcome back to day 2 of our look at the book of Daniel. We're going to be looking at Daniel 9 today. We've jumped a few chapters on. And here we have Daniel remembering and reading the prophecies of Jeremiah. Remember, these are the people that have been exiled. The land has been conquered. The Israelites have been moved away to various locations, one of them Babylon, and they're set to work there and they have to build their life there. But they are promised by God through the prophet Jeremiah that after about 70 years there will be a reverse of that and the people of God will start to move back to their nation. Well, Daniel reads this and thinks 70 years is up now. I mean, Daniel's over 80, so he remembers all of this, and he realises that we need to start getting on our knees and praying that this will be fulfilled. But it's interesting that when he approaches God, he recognises the situation that his people are in. They are the guilty party. They are the ones that disobeyed God. They are the ones that need to humble themselves before God and acknowledge his rule in their lives. And so he prays for the forgiveness of the people. He prays that the Lord will remember his promises. I don't know about you, but do you hear the voice of God very clearly through things that are promised in the scriptures? Do you recognise God's leading in your life when you read something in a scripture? We have a written record, like Daniel was obviously reading a promise of God. When we read the promises of God, do we take them literally? Do we start to get on our knees and pray for fulfillment of prophecy and promises that he made? I don't know about you, but it's quite easy to sort of sideline the will of God and sideline these promises and think, will they happen? I don't know. I don't know if they will or not. But ultimately, when God says something, we need to recognise that as his will. We need to recognise that we need to fall in line with his will. Because if we don't, there are consequences. The whole nation was expelled from the promised land and marched off into slavery or work or whatever. And yet God is still trying to build a way back, to restore that relationship. If we mess up, if we decide to ignore God's promises and will, then there are consequences in our lives. We can have broken relationships, we can have broken families, we can have poor work ethic, we can upset the community around us, we can ruin our lives by not taking the right choices, by not honouring God in our life. Well, this chapter starts talking about God's rescue plan. There's prophecies that many recognise as messianic prophecies. In other words, talking about Jesus, the coming Messiah. Although Jesus is not named, a Messiah figure is named. And it said that the anointed one will be killed, which kind of connects with what happened to Jesus. He, the anointed one, the Messiah, is killed by his own people. Really starts talking about how God is going to restore Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. Well, in many ways, that sort of happened, and it echoes Jesus' death, his resurrection, and the building of the church, the Christian church. Now, I don't know about you, but ultimately speaking, we need to realise that we've got to take what God says in the Bible with more weight. We've got to accept that it is God telling us how to live, how to act. And remember that the promises he made in those scriptures really hold true even today. They will echo in our society, in our lives, and the choices that we make. And if you feel far from God, if you feel that it would be impossible for him to change your situation, don't forget that we have a God of the impossible. He can make things completely reverse round. And although there's no way that anyone would believe that the people of God would be returned to their nation, it happened. God did return the people of God. And we need to be honest with ourselves and ask forgiveness for the things that we do wrong. and acknowledge that we need to set our heart and minds on fulfilling the will of God. And who knows how He will change our lives, how He will turn situations around, restore relationships, restore our reputation in the community, just lead us into the life we're supposed to live in a fulfilling way. And I pray that today you would focus on that you get down on your knees like I will, and just ask for forgiveness, ask for Him to be in control of our lives and to lead us into the life He wants us to live. God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow.